Biobutanol. It is the alcohol that is similar to ethanol with some upsides to it. It has a reduction of hydrocarbons by 95%. Carbon monoxide emissions are knocked down to 0.01%, and nitrous oxide by 37%. It can be blended in any percentage with gasoline seamlessly with an increase in performance, as initial testing is showing. The biobutanol has an energy content that is closer to gasoline than ethanol, 110 BTUs versus 110,000 BTUs versus 115, which makes it a little bit better. It totally negates the the argument of the loss of performance. Biobutanol also tends to be less evaporative than ethanol, which makes it a better blend to oxygenate in the hot summer states of Arizona, Southern California, Florida, Texas, and others. The other thing is, biobutanol is not hydroscopic. It means it doesn't attract or absorb water as readily as the ethanol does, which means it can be pumped through existing infrastructure, whereas ethanol currently still has to be transported by rail, barge, or truck. Kinder Morgan has a test pipeline that they have completed going from the port of Tampa to Orlando, and they are starting to test pumping the ethanol through that pipeline currently, and I believe their testing will be complete in the next few months. The biobutanol, the big downside of the challenge to biobutanol is it is not the commercial scale yet, and it's probably going to be within a few years before it is. The company that's mainly leading the R&D in biobutanol is BP. Ethanol, as you can see, when it comes to the yields, we're only getting right now about 250 gallons per acre per year. Corn, sugarcane looks like 662. The next generation feedstocks of switchgrass, sorghum, and miscanthus, obviously much, much higher, which will make much more sense, both economically and impact on the environment. Can be blended with the gasoline currently without any modifications to the engine, and that for blends much higher than E10, it needs to be a flex fuel vehicle. There are over 5 million flex fuel vehicles on the road in the U.S., and that number is expected to only increase. Most of the E85 stations right now are in the Midwest, and they're looking to expand that. This is a basic diagram of the ethanol process. Basically, the biomass is brought in, pre-treated, the enzymes are brought in, then it's fermented, and once it's done with that, you get your ethanol recovery, and you also get the bagasse or the lignin left over, and that can be used for cogeneration, which is a very wise thing to do for cost purposes and for environmental purposes. This is another diagram. This is more along the line, and it basically shows another way that the biomass can be utilized to produce ethanol. The Indy Racing League switched to 100% ethanol from methanol this last racing season, and they are loving it. They have no complaints whatsoever. It's worked out fantastically for them. And when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, compared to gasoline, ethanol will knock down the greenhouse gas emissions between 17 and 77%. The reason that there's such a big spread is that 17% represents basically ethanol from corn at an E10 blend, and that 77% represents ethanol from sugarcane at an E85. Once again, the energy return of the net energy balance is over 800% for sugarcane. The beauty of it is it can be produced from multiple crops, multiple feedstocks, most grasses, and in comparison to gasoline, it has a higher octane rating, which offsets the BTUs or the thermal difference, the energy content. So it's not as bad nearly as what's been reported. Another advantage that is widely gone unreported with ethanol. Ethanol can be blended with regular diesel fuel. When that is done in a 15% blend, it shows that this is from Argonne National Laboratory. The particulate matter are knocked down by up to 75%, and the nitrous oxide emissions are knocked down up that is a huge, huge number. That is fantastic. Right now, still, the reason we have E20 on here is they're showing that they can use hydrous ethanol in Brazil at those blends with no impact on the vehicle. Commercial scale cellulosic ethanol, our view is commercially within 5 to 7 years. So we're right around the corner of that. We are within grasp of cellulosic ethanol technology on a commercial scale. If you want to run at higher than an E10 blend in your vehicle, and your vehicle does not come flex fuel designated from the factory, it is possible to take it to an approved dealer and for about $100 have them upgrade the lines and the computer chip for it to be able to run on E85s, and that costs you around $100. We think that the transition will probably be sensible in 5 to 10% increments, and jumping right away overnight from E10 to E85 is much less realistic. So, on the diesel engines and biodiesel, the beauty of the diesel is that it is at least 30% more efficient than gasoline in engines of equal displacement. The diesel has higher energy content, for one. When you start adding things like turbochargers and intercoolers and higher pressure on the fuel, to electric injection, you wind up with closer to 50% advantage in miles per gallon over the internal combustion engine, over the spark ignition. When the diesel engine was originally designed, it was designed to run on a variety of different fuels, beginning with peanut oil, which makes it really the first flex fuel vehicle, flex fuel engine. Obviously, the diesel engine can utilize ethanol as well, so there's no loss there. And it's kind of interesting to note that basically almost 100 years ago, Rudolf Diesel predicted that the vegetable oils would be something that the transportation would be running on in the future. So, and here we are, about 100 years later, getting to that point again. If